Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of Global Voices of Accessible Travel. My name is Laurent. I'm the co-owner of Tapooz Travel. We are an accessible travel company in San Francisco, California. Today, we are going to Italy to meet with Stefano. Stefano is the co-owner and manager of the Rome and Italy group. This is a full-service, diversified travel company offering all the destinations of Italy, such as Florence, Rome, Pisa, Milan, and of course Tuscany and Sicily as well. They also offer specialized services such as wedding, food and wine tours, vacation with children, and yes, if you're looking for tickets for the Mario Bocelli's concert in July, they are the people to call. Rome and Italy Group have a very strong presence in the accessible travel space in Italy. They have a full dedicated team of people, their own equipment rental, their own accessible vehicle. And I will only mention two people that I had the pleasure to meet and work with in the past, Georgia and Virginia, fully dedicated to accessible travel in their country. If you didn't get all that, don't worry, there will be a slide at the end with all this information. So without further ado, let's go and meet with Stefano.
Stefano, hi, good morning, good evening actually in Rome. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine, and you?
I'm fine. If you follow the news, I'm sure you know that in the US it's not a quiet time. It's a very complicated situation we have here, but hopefully it will actually produce some good results in the long run.
Of course, don't worry about that because in Italy here, everything is going to be normal very shortly. Well, first I want to introduce myself for the people
Please.
that don't know me, of course. And good morning to everybody. My name is Stefano, and I'm the owner of the company Rome and Italy. Of course, as the name tell you, we are from Italy, we based in Rome, and we cover all the Italian territory. The company is specialized in wheelchair user, tourists that use the wheelchair. We are in the field of the disability since 2007, so now it's more than 10 years that we're working with the disabled tourists. As I told you, don't worry about the situation in US because in Italy, finally now we are open, everything works good again. Step by step, everything will be normal in very shortly. Now, of course, we are reopened officially in I think yesterday, because today is 4, and the official date of the reopen border line was the June 3rd. Now today, June 4th, it's open everything. But if you're looking Italy and you go around Rome, every city in Italy now, the Italian people feel safe. We don't use anymore the mask, only to go inside the shops because the law said that you have to wear. But you can see the people that this mask, they complain for the mask. In the middle of the street, nobody wear the mask except the very old people because they are scared, not for the pandemic. Because the COVID now in Italy is completely over and we don't care about that anymore. So we just push the people to come back here and don't worry about that.
That's very interesting because here in the US we are still very much under the height of the pandemic. I mean, the US is big. I mean, we have 50 states. Each state has a different way of approaching the situation, even each county, each city. But overall, the country here in the US, we are reopening slowly in different manner, but social distances, the wearing of masks, it's still something that is in force in most of our communities. So aren't you concerned that tourists coming from overseas might feel unsafe if they walk in the street and see people that don't have masks on?
Well, Italian people are so friendly and social. And
Yeah.
the rules that they give it to us was at the beginning a very restrict rules like you have now in the US. Don't touch people, social distance. It's just when the politicians are going to say, when the medical division are going to say, now works better, you will see that the people are start to be in relax. As in Italy, I told you
Sure.
now, every people are in the middle of the street. When you meet again the friends, we give a big hug, we kissing together, we go all together in a big party. The big
That is great. I mean, it is that's part of the reason we're doing what we do, you and I, and overall the global voices, because the perception that people have from other parts of the world is through the channel of the news, the newspaper, the television, and it's so confusing. So it's great to hear what you're saying as first-hand account on the ground. Last time we talked, actually, you said something really interesting. You said, we had a perception of Italy and Spain being, and France maybe being the hotspots of Europe in terms of the COVID-19. And in our conversation, you mentioned, actually there were only 2 regions in Italy that were affected, and the rest of Italy basically were not. Can you talk to that? Can you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's not now. It's for all the pandemic here in Italy was since the beginning. We had the 90% of contagious in only 2 cities, Milan and Bergamo. And that area, that was the concentration of the COVID-19. 90% of people contagious was only over there. There was area in Italy, region, as in the south, Sicily, Calabria, that they had 0 contagious. Rome, that is Rome, we had really a number that we can see less than a flu that we had this winter, last winter. I mean, for the number that we had in only that area, they closed, they locked down all Italy, and that's why everybody complain, because you cannot kill a nation just for a small area that has that problem.
Sure.
So now, if the people want to come in Italy, I can say, come for sure with no trouble, no problem, because even during the contagious, there was some area in Italy that they are completely safe.
Sure, that's very interesting, and thank you for clarifying that. For wheelchair users, people with disability, mobility limitations, flying has never been easy or joyful. Flying is always kind of an issue. And in Europe, you have a pretty well-developed railway system. So now that you have reopened Italy, how do you see people, tourists coming in, or maybe even Italian flying into the country itself, or flying out? Do you think that wheelchair user will be more tempted to use your rail system rather than flying?
Well, the rail system, the railway system in Italy, if we are going to talk about the big city as Rome, Bologna, Florence, Venice, Milan, it's really, really well connected by train. I mean, just to give you an example, by car from Rome to Florence, you will need sound of like 3 hours. Okay, train 1 hour and a half. Downtown Rome, downtown Florence.
Exactly, yeah.
Much more cheap, much more fast, and much more relaxed with no problem at all. The only, I want to say you problem, but it's not a problem. The only issue that is in the station, if you don't have a good assistant to help you with the booking of the truck that bring the wheelchair on the level of the entrance is a pretty difficult to book. But if you have an agency that book for you, it's much more easy to travel by train that instead the car or even plane, because you need much more time with the plane, because you have to be in the airport 1 hour and a half before, and usually the airport is a little bit outside the city. Then you need a transfer to go inside the city. My suggestion is travel by train.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, from our experience, even here in the US, I mean, our train system is nothing compared to what you have in Europe. It's better developed on the East Coast, actually, than on the West Coast. On the East Coast, to all our clients that come for an East Coast vacation or tour, we always recommend, taking a train from New York to Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia. It's always a better solution. But your point is well taken also about transportation to the train station. I mean, do you want to? This is not a selling or marketing video, but you do have the ability, of course, to take care of anybody coming to Italy. You have your vehicle with the ramp or with the lift. You can take care of that portion.
Of course, all our vehicle, and even there are many private agency that, well, many no, but there are agencies that if you book in, the important thing is set up in advance. Don't arrive here and say, I'm going to check on internet. This is a mistake. But I tell my clients, nobody that use the wheelchair are going like this and say, when I arrive, I'm going to check.
Sure.
Set up everything first and you don't have a big surprise when you arrive.
Sure. So, so we talked about transportation, the two other main issues that travelers are asking questions are lodging, where do I stay and how make sure that I'm safe and I have the accessible facility that I need, and then all the visits. So let's talk for a second about the lodging right now in Italy. The big hotels, the small hotel, here in the US by now, almost all the big hotel chains have announced their new cleaning protocols, down to the product they're going to use, the chemicals they're going to use to clean the room, and how many hours the room is going to be ready before you show up. Very elaborate, very detailed. And that's a way for the hotels to kind of reassure travelers that it is safe to stay in a hotel and not get infected. What's going on in Italy in that respect? How do you deal with this issue?
Well, the law in Italy now say that every time the hotel have to clean the room, they must make the sanification, and they must make the certification on the room that this room was sanificated on with the date. So, of course, when you arrive, you will see that the day before you're arriving, you have the sanification of the room. With chemical products, with the medical products, that I'm not a doctor, so I cannot tell you which one they use. But there is a specific company that made the certification with the authorization of the Italian medical division, and you will find the certification always in reception or in the room. Depends on which kind of hotel you are going to.
That's great to know. Again, this is another point that will reassure eventually travelers to come to Italy, knowing that this protocol or those standards are, equivalent to what they have in their own country, in the US, in Canada, in New Zealand, and Australia, and they know that we'll find the same thing when they come to Italy. When we talked the last time, I think Giorgia was also mentioning an alternative to staying in a hotel, which are the accessible villas that you have.
But before talking about the villa in 1 second,
Sure.
I want to tell you about the certification. Even my company used to rent any kind of equipment that the people need. I mean, if they don't want to bring the scooter, the electric scooter, or a manual wheelchair, hoist, everything we can rent. And at the end of any rental, we are going to make the certification of all our equipment with the certification. So to be sure, even the people that are going to rent any kind of equipment, the law say that we must make the certification. Then, about the alternative accommodation that the people can have around Italy, there are many villas in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of the Chianti area, in the Tuscany, by the beach. This is an alternative style of vacation. If they don't want to stay at the hotel, if they want to stay a little bit out of the big confusion, we can provide and or help to provide the people to find accessible villas a little bit out of the downtown if the people are scared to stay in the middle of the confusion. But I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, at the moment, there are not a big confusion around the city because the tourism start to be again in the way to be normal. But at the moment, if you had the chance to go in the Vatican City, in the Vatican Museum last year, once you were here, and you compare it right now, the same period, it's completely different at the moment.
But hopefully it will increase. I mean, we now only 2 weeks away from official summer, start of summer, so we're spring into summer. I mean, Italy is certainly one of the main tourist destinations for people from all over the world, especially from all over Europe. So if the reopening is successful, if people feel safe, I think it's fair to assume that you are going to see very quickly an increase in tourism, which brings me to the next point. And you touched on that, is the the anxiety of visiting sites that are going to be so busy that social distancing will not be enforced, that the wearing of mask will not be enforced. You mentioned the Vatican, but there are so many other sites that, by the very nature of the visit, you are going to find yourself with thousands of people. Now, are the Italian authorities dealing with that?
Well, now even the museum, archaeological site, they must respect a new rules after the COVID. And you must book the entrance before. You cannot find tickets when you go in the line right over there. And on the tickets, there are printed the time you can get inside. Once you arrive in front of the museum, you need to wear your mask. You need to stay in the social distance that is 1.5 meters, 2 meters. Now depends about the museum that they are going to visit. And if you are a group more than 4 people, now more than 4 people is considering group inside the museum, there are a slot of time to go inside every 15 minutes, 1-5. So you go inside in 5 people, if you are other 5, you have to waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then you can go inside. So even once you are in the middle of the corridors, the distance between one group to another group is, I say, very far, because
Sure.
usually is a market inside the Vatican Museum the last year. Now is a kind of relaxing walking inside with no crowded people as always.
I see. Actually, so what you just described is something that we hear from our colleagues from other parts of Europe and the world. I was talking to somebody in France just a couple of days ago, and somebody in the Netherlands just yesterday, and it seems that they are moving into this system of making sure that even the most popular sites will not be crowded, and they impose some thinning out of the number of people that can go in, which I think is going to define a way that people are going to visit, at least in the foreseen future, places like Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, and so forth. I would say to my travelers, don't try to swing it. Don't try just to arrive, say, "Oh, no, I'll manage when I'm there." I think today you have to take into consideration that planning, careful planning, is going to be the key to an enjoyment of the visit. Am I
Careful
correct in saying
planning,
that? Yeah.
yes, careful planning and in advance, because the peak of the season now, the number of the entrants are less than half than usual. So if you want to go to visit the big site like Vatican Museum or Uffizi in Florence, Colosseum, if you don't book in advance your entrance, you arrive in Rome and you can see just from outside.
Exactly. Right. So careful planning, making sure that you build an itinerary, talking to people like you, talking to your staff, making sure that it doesn't have to be regimented, it doesn't have to be minute by minute, but definitely if you want to, if you have a number of things that you absolutely want to visit while you visit Italy, make sure that you have that on your schedule and make sure that you book in advance with your staff. Obviously, we will direct people to your website. After the interview, there will be a slide directing the website, so people can go there and look at all the fantastic destinations that you have, and drinking wine in Tuscany and what have you. But you personally, Stefano, if you wanted to, maybe your top 2 or top 3 places to visit now, this summer towards the end of the year. For a wheelchair user, what will be on the top of your list?
Well, always is the same question at the people that decide to book in Italy. The first question that we give it to the people, that we ask to the people is, how many times have you been to Italy? Because if the first time you come in Italy, of course, the highlights, if you love art, is Rome, Florence, and Venice. If you like the biological food or you like the wine, the Chianti area, just in the south of Florence, is the top area of. And this year, a lot of people ask me about Sardinia, the island by the sea, because they say, okay, I want to relax. I've been to Italy many times. I want to relax in the beach area. So many people ask about Apulia and Sardinia. That's depend about what the people want to do, of course.
Sure. You mentioned Sardinia, and I'm smiling because I got like 24 calls just in the past couple of days from people that saw something in a very short sentence in the some article in the New York Times or the Guardian about Sicily going to subsidize tourists coming to Sicily. Is that true? Is Sicily going to help pay for vacation of people coming?
Well, let me tell you, television said always a big and great news about everything. Then they are going to find a lot of trouble to give the money, to give the helping that they said on the television that they give it to. I don't believe too much of that kind of news. Sicily, like Sardinia, are 2 islands with that they work a little bit different from Italy. Of course, they have a very special offer and very special prices this year, but that this is one point. The point that they are going to help the people to come, I don't know. I'm never test at the moment, so I can answer to you shortly about that.
Sure. No, I mean, in all honesty, it sounded too good to be true. But it's something that newspaper it's a very attractive piece of news, so everybody jumped on that. But on the same issue, We also get a lot of calls of people that wanted to come to Italy, had to delay, they kind of rescheduling, I'm going to travel and it's safe. But I've got a question. Are there any bargains? Should I look at booking right now because prices may be lower than they used to be? Does that make sense for somebody to do something like that?
Many and many people, including mine company, say that if you book now, we are going to keep, for the next year, we are going to keep the same price that we have now for 2021. Because we want to increase and we want to incentive the people to push the people to book now, even for the next year. We're going to keep the same prices.
Sure. So it would make sense if people are serious about, again, assuming that people will feel safe traveling again, that air travel is going to be better. It would make sense. You would recommend to, travelers from all over the place to book now. And even if they know that they won't be able to travel right now, maybe next year, but you would recommend to do that.
There are many and many offers, like many companies, including mine, are going to sell voucher, the travel voucher. That means this is the voucher that I sell to you for $1,000, and the value of this voucher the next year would be 1,200, with a 20% more to increase to push you to buy right now that you can use next year. Everybody are going to looking for something new and best offer to give to the people, to push the people to book right now.
Let me understand, to make sure that I understood correctly, because this is very interesting. You're saying that I can have travelers from Australia or from the UK or from the US calling you today and say, here, there's this $1,000. I don't know when I want to travel, but it's not going to be before next year's. But by next year, when I decide to travel, my voucher is going to be worth 20% more. Did I understand correctly?
$1,200, of course, for sure. Yeah. I can write you a paper and sign with my blood. But of course, about services that we provide, not that you go in the hotel and say, hey, this is 200 more.
Of course, no, of course. But this is very interesting. This is something new. This is something that I don't think our audience are aware that it could take advantage of something like that. So whoever is listening to us right now, this is so interesting. I will definitely make a point of mentioning that also in the, when we do the write-up of the interview. Definitely something very, very interesting. Stefano, we're coming up on almost the half hour. I promise not to go too much over. It's already evening. You must be anxious to go back to your family. Any last words of wisdom to people listening to this interview from all over the place?
Well, I'm going to repeat again, guys, be safe at the moment, be strong, because we had the same bad time that you have now in US, we had a few months ago here. And now Italy is completely open, the people start to live again. So be strong, because very shortly you will smile and give a big hug at all people that you can find in the street very shortly, also in US.
That is great advice. That's a very positive way of finishing this interview. Stefano, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time tonight, this evening. Say hello from myself and Laika to Georgia, to Virginia, to all your staff. And again, I hope to talk to you again, maybe in a couple of weeks, just to keep track of what is going on. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye to everybody. Ciao, Laurent.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.